Sivers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beacon of Truth. I am your host, Deacon Harold Burke Sivers, and you're listening on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Man, it's great to be back here with you again, and I'm just freshly off the boat, the Good News Cruise 2026. I've done this cruise once before, and I had the great privilege of doing this cruise again. And some of the names that were on there, you know well. Dr. Ray Garendi. Actually, we had a chance to sit down, me and Dr. Ray and his wife, and we had a beautiful kind of like tea. You have mid-afternoon tea kind of thing. And he just wanted to talk, so we went and found a place to sit down and talk for about an hour. Really beautiful conversation with Dr. Ray. And Teresa Tomeo, of course, and her husband, Deacon Dom, and I was on Teresa's show, and that was a lot of fun. And I got a chance to see some other, Dr. Marcus Peter, who runs Ave Maria now, and is a radio host and a great speaker on his own. It was just so much fun. But I think one of the highlights for me was sitting down and having a substantial conversation with Father Mike Schmitz and Jonathan Rumi, who was also on the boat, which was a surprise to everybody. And so I got a chance to say, because, I haven't seen, I saw Father Mike at the Eucharistic Congress, but we didn't really have a chance to sit down and talk. But we had a chance this time. And so we were just sitting down talking, kind of catching up, and as we usually do when we get together. He's kind of a jokester too, by the way. And then Jonathan Rumi comes over and sits down with us. I'm like, hey, we just started talking. And man, he was great. Great personality, wonderful person. It was really a nice chance to sit down and get to know him. Because usually, he has his like security people and stuff like that, because he gets mobbed otherwise, right? And so it was just nice, the three of us just sitting down there, just having a nice conversation. Took a wonderful picture, which I tried to put up for you folks watching on YouTube. I tried to put it up, but it like is sideways. It's like awkward kind of sideways thing, so I wasn't able to get that there. But it was just a wonderful time, and I would encourage you couples. It was a really beautiful experience, and the whole boat was Catholic married couples. The last time I did the marriage cruise, it was just we had to share the boat, with the regular cruisers. But this time, the entire boat was just Catholic married couples. It was absolutely beautiful. It was actually one of the best, probably the best cruise I've ever been on. Outside of my wife not being there with me, of course, but I think it was one of the best cruises I've ever been on. It was fantastic. My talks, I had a lot of fun. I thought they went really well. And I really loved engaging with people. People just, like, everywhere I go, I get stopped. I tried to go I did my, 6, 7 mile. Actually, a couple days I did 8 miles on the boat. You have a track on deck 3. So I did, all the laps around and did about 8.1 miles a couple days in a row. And it was awesome. And people just stop you and just want to talk to you on the elevator, on the stairs, or at dinner or something. It was really nice. And again, a lot of EWTN followers there. It was just EWTN listeners and followers and people who love Mother Angelica and the network. It's just always great to meet folks and to talk to them about the great work that Mother Angelica started here at EWTN. And so that was a lot of fun. So I flew back from Mexico yesterday. And so I had to get off the boat early. Actually, they're still cruising right now, because I have an engagement. I'm actually here in Anthem, Arizona, about 40 minutes north of Phoenix. I'm here to do a 2-day, which I'll talk about in a little bit in the next segment, what I'm doing here in Anthem, Arizona. But if you're in the Phoenix or Anthem, Arizona area, come out to see us tonight and tomorrow. I'll be speaking here at the parish. Again, I'll give you more details about that in a little bit. But today, my friends, I always love these days. We do these Beacon of Truth playlist shows. And today we're doing a great song by the band Led Zeppelin, one of the most popular bands of all time. I think one of the greatest rock bands of all time. And it's a song called In My Time of Dying. And whenever Jimmy Page plays slide guitar, that's always a good day. And basically the whole song is Slide. In fact, when they did the Celebration Day, you remember about 12 years ago, it might be even longer than that, Led Zeppelin reunited with Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son, playing drums. And they did like a one-night thing where they played all the major Led Zeppelin songs. And this was one of them that they played, In My Time of Dying. Can't wait to dive into this one today on Beacon of Truth. Again, Beacon of Truth playlist episode today, In My Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin. Would love to hear from you. Give us a call, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. And, who I missed on the boat, who I wish were there, Matt Gabinski, on the team here who's going to be screening your calls today. And Michael McCall and Pedro Quiles help us with social media. And, of course, our producer. What we do without him, without that fedora, Ace McKay. Ace, hey, how about this? Did you know that Jonathan Rumi was like a serious drummer?
I did not.
Yes.
Good to know.
And I did not know that. We were talking. He was talking about how he was young. Mm-hmm. He was interested in the arts. And the first thing that he was interested in was music. And he learned how to play drums.
That's awesome.
And actually, he's still on the ship. And I heard that he's going to be playing drums with Matt Maher, who's also on the boat, on the cruise. Oh, I wish I would have stayed just to hear him.
They didn't ask you to play guitar?
Drums. That would have been
on.
Fantastic.
That would have been awesome. Well, and
so how you doing?
I'm good, man. I mean, I'm not, hanging out with celebrities like you've been all week, but it's good. This is anniversary week for my wife and I, so our 6th wedding anniversary is tomorrow.
Oh, congratulations. Beautiful. And Valentine's Day, right?
Valentine's Day, so yes.
So it's always easy to remember your anniversary.
This is true. She says I did that on purpose. I go, hey, I didn't plan the pandemic. Like, my fault.
Yeah. Hey, true. And the thing is, on a Saturday this year. So you guys got any special plans? This is on a weekend?
Well, she's in rehearsals for a show right now. So, and because Valentine's within itself is crazy to try to go out and do anything together. So we've always deemed the 15th as our anniversary date. So that way the 14th is kind of just whatever we make it. And then the 15th is a way to do both Valentine's and an anniversary. It's kind of like when you're the Christmas birthday kid. You don't lump it and go, I got you a gift. It's like, that was a Valentine's. That was an anniversary.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you do have your birthday on Christmas, it's not really your birthday. I mean, you don't get 2 celebrations like everybody else,
right?
Because they try to squeeze it all into one. So no, I get that. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, so we always say that we don't need anything. We just do dinner out. So we'll go out to dinner to one of our favorite spots and eat all the foods and do all the things. We tend to use, and maybe this is a good practice for most couples, is we get into a reflective mode on our anniversaries. So rather than like doing a New Year's, like at the beginning of the year kind of thing, we look at our relationship and go, where did you fall in love with me this year? What, where did you feel like was our biggest struggle? How do you think we've done since then? Like we really try to, I won't say pick apart, but we really do analyze the things of our relationship so that this time next year, whatever we might have, tripped over, that we can pick it up and, be better, year after year.
Wow, that's good. That's really good. I like that.
A tune-up, an oil change, if you will.
Yeah. And that's what I encourage couples that go on date nights to do something like that. But, do it on your anniversary, kind of taking a look at where we are, where we're going, how we doing, where our struggles, where our challenges, where we are spiritually. That's very good.
Yeah. Well, and
our anniversary's in the summer.
Yeah.
And I think, God in his wisdom, obviously I wasn't a speaker or anything like that, but usually that now we're able to actually to get away, like either a long weekend or a week away, because that's like a slow time in my speaking schedule. So we're able to like get away and just, and of course the kids are all adults now, so we don't have to worry about anybody watching them or anything like that. We can just get away. And we do the same thing, usually in a hot tub though. We'll be in the hot tub like at the spa and like, how we doing?
Right. And clearly you're doing all right. That's fantastic. Well,
I'm looking forward to this song today.
Well, and it's off of one of my favorite Zeppelin records. So, I mean, a lot of people, like even this morning, the staff was kind of arguing over whether 1 or 2 was their favorite Zeppelin. I was like, well, Money went into the second one. So, of course, it's going to be a little bit higher quality, better recorded, all the things. However, Physical Graffiti has become that album for me just because as a drummer, I feel like there were a lot of experimental stuff in the first 4 albums. By the time you get to Physical Graffiti, Zeppelin knows who they are, their identity, what the fans expect, so it just the lock of that double record is just one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's very well done. I think it's one of the better produced albums as well.
Yes.
For Zeppelin. All right. Beacon of Truth playlist episode today, my friends. We're going to dive into a great Led Zeppelin song, actually, which is, pretty Christian in its orientation here. So, Beacon of Truth playlist, In My Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin. Would love to hear from you. 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986.
The Adoration Sodality of the Poor Clares of Perpetual Adoration at the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament in Hanceville, Alabama, is a prayer group for laity, priests, and religious brothers and sisters to spiritually join in the nuns' mission of adoring our Lord Jesus Christ in the Holy Eucharist. Members commit themselves to an hour of Eucharistic adoration on a monthly, weekly, or daily basis at a monstrance or tabernacle at the parish of their choice. Learn more about becoming a member at iadorethee.com.
This is Life Issues with Victor Nieves, president of Life Issues Institute.
You've likely heard someone claim that unborn babies should not be protected until they have sentience, or the ability to have subjective experiences and interact with or process the world around them. Interestingly, human beings are not the only sentient beings. In fact, scientists believe that adult pigs are far more sentient than newborn human babies. If sentience is what gave human beings moral worth, then pigs would have greater worth than newborn babies. Of course, that couldn't be further from the truth. We have human rights not because of what we can do, but because of what we are. Every unborn baby is a human being made in the image of God with the right to life. To learn to further refute this argument and others, visit lifeissues.org.
For more information, follow us on social media at Life Issues Institute.
Yeah.
They play anything like this on the cruise?
Yeah. I would have to say no.
Oh, man.
Although I didn't go up to the area where they did all the dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
That was like at the top deck. So you had a great view of outside and everything, and it's like glass all around. It's beautiful up there. But no, I didn't go out there and partake. I was in bed pretty early, actually. So,
Yeah. Well, they say the cruise is like any cruise, but I'm sure this one is really the only true vacation anymore. Like to be able to just be on the boat, food's provided, entertainment's provided. You can swim, you can work out, you can socialize, you can seclude yourself, you can sleep. Like it really is the only place to rest anymore. I was like, I ain't against that.
Yeah, and the good thing about this particular cruise, the Good News Cruise, is that there was mass, like multiple times a day.
Great.
There were 2 main masses in the main, auditorium. Because there were like 1,200 couples, 1,300 couples. So they had to do everything in 2 groups. There was a blue group and a yellow group, and then they had smaller masses in like chapels all throughout the day. And they had confessions and they had adoration, and it was just and they had the main talks, and they had like a lot of smaller talks as well. And Ave Maria was broadcasting from the ship, and so I was on a couple. I was on with Dr. Marcus Peter, and I was on a couple other Ave shows as well. It was just and people would come and sit in on those.
Nice.
If they want. It was just an awesome experience, and I hope they invite me back again, because I almost didn't want to leave.
Right.
It's
like going to camp.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It was just great, and it's just great as Catholics to gather.
Yeah.
Like that, it was obviously with married couples, right? And that was kind of the theme, was marriage and family and stuff, and that was great. But just to have that many Catholics gather together in one place like that, kind of like the Eucharistic Congress, that many people of faith gathered around, for Jesus to celebrate the sacraments of the church like that, was just absolutely awesome. I loved it.
That's fantastic. Amen.
I'm Deacon Harold Burke. Sippers listening to Beacon of Truth. And today we have a Beacon of Truth playlist episode. Today we're doing a great song by the inimitable band Led Zeppelin, In My Time of Dying. You know, sometimes we'll take a song, you know, and we'll let, you know, we're not reinterpreting the psalm and you know, this is what the artist meant to say. No, we're looking at it through the lenses and the light of faith. And this one's not a heavy lift because Jesus is mentioned numerous times in this song and is about dying, going to heaven. And so we're going to have fun with this one today and would love to hear from you, your thoughts on this song, In My Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin. 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986.
Always exciting to celebrate Valentine's weekend with you, and it seems fitting that it's literally just days before we get into Lent. So as we prepare our hearts, what is it that we're thankful for with our sweethearts? What is it that we're thankful for in our relationship with God? But understanding truly that God is love and how we can show that over the years and in the coming year. What is your commitment within Lent? Think about Valentine's. Maybe that's something you and your spouse and your sweetheart can talk about, that we can be a part of that with you with EWTN Radio. Lots of tools, EWTN.com. And, of course, when you subscribe to YouTube, lots of great stuff that you can share with each other. Because if you're already sending snaps and things back and forth all day, why not send something that's encouraging, brings you closer together? So thanks for that, and happy Valentine's Day from all of us at EWTN Radio.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everybody out there. And just a quick note before Ace and I dive into the song a little bit and wait for your calls. Again, Beacon of Truth playlist episode today. We're diving into the great Led Zeppelin tune, In My Time of Dying. Of course, would love to hear from you, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Well, I mentioned I was on the Good News Cruise, but now I am at St. Rose Philippine Duchesne Catholic Church in Anthem, Arizona, tonight and tomorrow. So tonight, Friday, it's 6 p.m. Tonight, 6 p.m. My Flesh, I'm going to give a talk, My Flesh for the Life of the World, the Eucharist and Evangelization at 6 p.m., followed by Eucharistic Adoration. So it's going to be absolutely awesome. And tomorrow, they're calling it Saturday Morning of Inspiration. So I'm going to be serving as deacon and preaching at the 7:30 a.m. Mass, followed by my talk, Staying Awake in the Woke Culture at 8:45. And then at 10:15, my second talk, well, I guess it would be my third talk, my second one on Saturday, Go and Make Disciples, the Call to Evangelization. And it's $25 for a ticket. You get all three talks, Friday, Saturday, Adoration, Mass, everything. Come on, would love for you to join us today. Again, today, Friday the 13th, and tomorrow, Friday the 14th, Valentine's Day, at St. Rose Philippine Duchesne Catholic Church in Anthem, Arizona. So if you're anywhere in the Phoenix, Arizona area, come out and see us tonight, 6 p.m., and then 7:30, 8:45, and 10:15 tomorrow morning. All right. So this song, as Ace mentioned, In My Time of Dying, is off the Physical Graffiti, which is the 6th studio album by Led Zeppelin. I was like, wait a minute, because I remember listening to this album for the first time. I think I was in 5th grade when this came out. And I was like, wait, they had all those albums before that. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously I'd heard, Stairway to Heaven, right? Everybody heard that. But I wasn't really into Zeppelin until this album came out. And then I remember this clearly it was a K-Tel. You get like 10 albums for a penny.
Yes.
I remember taping my penny to the form and mailing it in. And I remember getting Led Zeppelin 1, 2, and 3 as part of that deal.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started getting into listening to Led Zeppelin but it was after Physical Graffiti came out.
Yeah. Well, and this album, I mean, again, I think out of the first four is my favorite, like especially the lighter side of that, because you really hear a lot of the heart, which only, it's like when you go back and listen to the Beatles, the stuff from Rubber Soul set up a different era as they went into the latter years and, showed a different side of what they were able to do in the studio. Same thing with Zeppelin. And in that, I used to play in a band, and we used to play the Rover, which is the cut just before this one. And so those two back to back were always, I think that's why I always gravitated to that album. But after playing that song live on stage, like I just had an affinity for that album because it was just such a great song to play on the drums. But then when and the same reason why we do these playlist editions, if these songs are influencing our lives or affecting us in ways that we don't even realize most of it, the filter of seeing everything through the lens of faith and who I was, in my relationship with God, there wasn't a song that I wasn't listening to that did not take on a faith aspect to it. So, it's not like this is a song that you would hear or see done in a church service somewhere. I don't know, maybe some church somewhere. But in that, if there's, first of all, if there's a light that can be shined of like, okay, this lyric goes against God's word, we want to, make sure it's not influencing our decision making or giving us reason to do the things that we do that are against God. But then when a lyric does line up, and it is a song that we enjoy, or it's a style of music that we gravitate to, letting those two worlds marry together, because again, at a time when God was needing to get my attention, he used the Beatles to do so. And the same thing could be that way with a Zeppelin song or a Lenny Kravitz song or whatever it is that we've talked about. And we have done the breakdown on Stairway to Heaven, which you can go back and stream on demand. But all of that lining up is that this was a band that was curious about the spiritual nature of this world. And we're all curious. So other opinions and things, and when they line up with God's word, it's a beautiful thing. But when it's against it, we want to always make sure we're having that conversation. And I love that we get to do it around music, because it is one of those things that can bring us together. We don't have to talk about politics. We don't even have to judge each other based on how many Bible verses we've memorized. It's just, oh yeah, I like this band. Oh, really? Have you heard? And then it just starts an onslaught of conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I hear from a number of people, including some people actually on the cruise, talked about how they like when we talk about the music. They say, I love when you guys dive into music. I mean, I think that is definitely a nexus, a connector for people.
Yep.
When it comes to faith, is music. And I think that's something also, like you said, this politics, all these things that divide us and separate us, and anger and animosity and vitriol. We got to find some more things that bring people together.
Yep.
And one of those things is music, again, which I love doing these Beacon of Truth playlist episodes, because we get a chance to do just that. Bring people together around a song that many people may be familiar with, and again, looking at it through kind of the lens of faith. Mm-hmm. How would we as people of faith would approach a song like this? And it just really helps. And so when you listen to the song, the next time you hear it, now you begin to think about it differently, and hopefully begin to reflect on your relationship with the Lord a little differently as well, not be afraid to go deeper.
Sure. Well, and I think, too, what better way, like if you're looking to start a group in your church or, community, why not revolve it around music? If it's something that you're passionate about, or if we are leaning into music in our times of pain, or we get wisdom and nuggets from lyrics, or like, that just hit me so hard, I needed that line, and we carry it with us, because then it becomes kind of our mantra. So anytime a song could be the thing that connects our pain or brings us out of a season, we can talk about that, because then we're pointing people back to God. Like, we're not using this as a way to point people to Zeppelin. We want to point people back to God as to what he's done in our lives. And if a song lyric starts that conversation, then it's worth having.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we'd love for you to join our conversation today. We're talking about the great Led Zeppelin song off of Physical Graffiti, In My Time of Dying. Would love to hear from you today, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Now, this is a double album, and In My Time of Dying is on side 1. And this originally was a song... it was based on, a song written by Bob Dylan, actually, back in 1961 or 62. And it was recorded live, so that they did it live. Of course, you can tell there's a little bit of overdubs with the slide that, Jimmy Page went back and did. But for the most part, the song is done live. And the arrangement was actually done by John Bonham, the drummer, which I think is awesome. Because there are some dynamic changes in that song.
Sure.
which is great. I mean, because it reflects life, right? When you're dying, all the emotions, you go through almost a roller coaster of emotions. If you have a diagnosis or something like that, you're going through something difficult. It's a roller coaster. And I think through this song, Led Zeppelin and John Bonham's arrangement allows you to ride that roller coaster, especially when we're talking about, the end of life issues.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, anytime a song comes out, there's always room for interpretation. So while, yes, we are interpreting it within our own belief system as well as within our own experiences, hearing how we all process death, I think allows us to then try to be ready for the eternal, which we'll dive into that in the rest of the show. But I think that's where it begins, is we're preparing ourselves for the chance to meet Jesus and to be in heaven. So we'll get there.
Amen. 833-288-3986.
Call to Communion.
Catholic Connection.
EWTN Live.
No one does Catholic radio like EWTN.
This is a digital moment with Sandra McDevitt. Did you know the icon of Our Lady of Czestochowa saved the monastery Jasna Gora from capture? In 1655, the Swedish army attacked the monastery in Poland. The prior, the morning of the attack, offered Mass before the icon Our Lady of Czestochowa, also known as the Black Madonna, seeking her intercession. 70 monks and 180 volunteers held off 4,000 enemy for 40 days, saving their sacred icon. The king put Poland under the protection of Our Lady and proclaimed her Queen of Poland in 1656. Since 1711, Catholics have been visiting the icon of Our Lady of Czestochowa, the Black Madonna, including Pope John Paul II, who, as a student during World War II, secretly visited as Poland was under Nazi occupation. I'm Sandra McDevitt for EWTN Radio.
Now we have today's quote from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. No matter what anybody says to you about you, it is nothing compared to what you are in the eyes of God. Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar features an inspirational message for each day of the year. It's available from the EWTN Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com, or call 1-800-854-6316.
Protecting the sanctity of life.
This is EWTN Radio.
On Monday's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, our topic will be, whom or what are you praying for? And now back to Beacon of Truth with Deacon Harold Burke Sivers.
That's a nice groove, man.
Right?
It's a nice groove.
And normally the bass gets buried in the mix, man. They made it top layer.
Yep. Oh, I love that. Again, you got the horns in. Oh, woo. See, and I love this guitar. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's some guys that play funk that I hear that have a lot of signal processing on the rhythm section.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of chorus or flange. I'm like, no, just let it. Because I like the chunkiness, the percussion.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of that other, it kind of softens it.
Sure.
Because I like the edgy of the funk, and you hear those strings, and the palm muting and the percussiveness of it just loses something when you put too much on it.
Yeah. You got to let funk breathe. That's funk.
Yeah, it's like that in life too. Sometimes we try to do too much.
Yeah.
And we end up not accomplish much of anything.
Yeah.
Because we're spreading ourselves too thin.
Yeah.
So
true.
So in other words, be like the funk guitar.
That's right.
Don't do a lot of processing. Just be.
That's right. Put the FUN in funk.
That's it. I'm Deacon Harold Burke Sivers, listening to Beacon of Truth. And today we have a Beacon of Truth playlist episode. We're going to take a look at that great Led Zeppelin tune off Physical Graffiti, In My Time of Dying. Great song. And actually talking about end of life issues. So I would love to hear from you today. Maybe you want to share with us, what it was like when you were losing somebody that you loved. Maybe you were at the bedside with them, or in the last few days in hospice when they were dying. What were you feeling? What were you going through? Because actually the lyrics of this song kind of speak to that. And Ace and I will be diving into it today. Would love your thoughts on this song, In My Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin. Give us a call, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986.
Well, this weekend, while you're celebrating Valentine's, Register Radio is helping us because after years of delay and genuine excited anticipation by Catholics all over the world, the Diocese of Peoria announcing that this week the Archbishop Fulton Sheen will be beatified. And, of course, as we find out more about that, Monsignor Roger Landry is going to join him to talk about that event this weekend. So Saturday afternoon, 4 Eastern, join us for Register Radio on EWTN Radio.
Yeah, it's about time his beatification came
right?
around. Yeah, so I've been waiting a long time. I just want to mention a couple things before we dive into the song. First of all, today is Friday the 13th. All right, look, we Catholics are not superstitious. Don't worry about stepping on a crack and breaking your mom's back or walking under a ladder or crossing a black cat crossing your path or Lucky Charms or anything like. Look, we are not superstitious. 13 is just, for example, on a lot of airplanes, there's no 13th row.
Right.
You know, you look at your boarding pass, you see 11, 12, 14. A lot of hotels, there's no 13th floor.
Right.
Right? Because people, I don't want to stay on the 13th floor. It's something bad. I mean, look, we Catholics are not superstitious. Now, let me be clear. Sometimes we do superstitious practices like taking a statue of St. Joseph, burying it upside down in your yard to sell your house. Come on, that's like superstitious.
Right.
You know, we don't do that. Now we have sacramentals, right, which are reminders of our relationship with the Lord. So right now I'm wearing a crucifix and miraculous medal. That's not superstition. You know, or wearing a scapular, or blessing yourself with holy water, or praying a rosary, and participating in sacramentals. That's not superstition. You know, we're not. Okay, rub the lamp, and God will grant us a wish. That's not the way it works. Okay, so we're not superstitious. And I also just want to say, if I don't remember to say it later on, Happy Valentine's Day to all you Valentiners out there.
Valentiners, that's right.
Yeah. Wish you a happy Valentine's Day. All right, let's dive into it. We're talking about In the Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin. Again, if you lost someone that you love, or you're with someone that was dying, maybe you do hospice work, or maybe you had a family member or a friend who was dying, and you were there in their last moments. What was that like? We're going to talk about that today because this song addresses that. But love to hear from you. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. All right, Ace, let's dive into the lyrics here.
All right.
So it starts off with that, with the slide, with with Jimmy Page, which is awesome.
A little front porch.
I mean, it kind of brings you into the mood,
Yeah.
Without being too depressing or somber.
Right.
I think John Bonham arranged this song very well. So it starts off like, okay, this song's gonna be different, but it's not like a dirge.
Yeah.
Where you're depressed. And then and when Jimmy Page, when what's this? God, what am I? I'm getting old, man. I'm a brain fart here.
Yeah.
When the lyrics come in, the song actually kicks in.
Yeah, Robert
In
Plant.
my time of,
Robert Plant.
Robert Plant.
Yeah, right.
I got guitar player on my mind.
That's all right.
In my time of dying, want nobody to mourn. Just that one line. So a lot of people will say, when I die, I don't want you to cry. Don't be sad because I'm going to be with Jesus. But I think it's okay to mourn.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, this song hit a little bit when I was listening to it today because a couple weeks ago I buried my favorite grandmother. She was 94 years old, outlived 2 husbands, all of her sisters, just the most amazing person of faith and just the greatest heart. Anyway, I would say that even if she wasn't my grandmother. But the thing that I found, because, again, during the funeral, it's the, let's not be sad because she's now with Jesus. And the opportunity for her to come back is not even on her list. She's like, no, I'm here with all my loved ones, everybody I outlived, all the things, right? But the thing that I remember is the mourning for me was in that I wasn't going to get time with her for the rest of my life. I was going to have to, so I was mourning the fact that, man, I'm going to have to wait. I'd like to think it's a long time. But in that, it's no, okay, yay, I get to see her again, but now I got to wait on it. Like, I can't just pick up the phone, hey, Mama, I can't just go see her. And so that, to me, we can still be celebration when we know someone is destined for heaven and ready. But again, the mourning part of it is in the waiting to see them again.
Yeah. And, especially someone like a spouse or a child. I mean, I think of Paul J. Kim, right, losing his son, 5 years old, right before the new year. Your spouse feels like part of your child came from your own body, right. Or you had a best friend that felt like, you were friends forever and they're no longer there. That's going to leave a void in the emptiness. And it is sad. Mm-hmm. It's okay to mourn. Yeah. Yes, we have faith. And yes, we know if they had a great relationship with the Lord, if they're in a state of grace, that they're going to be with God forever in heaven. We anticipate seeing them again, but it's okay to be sad and to mourn. Yeah. So I'm never going to say that, like at my funeral, don't mourn. No, go ahead and mourn, but mourn because, again, as you said so beautifully, Ace, I no longer, but still living, get to spend any more time with you. Yeah. But the joy comes from the fact that I anticipate seeing you again. This funeral and this separation is not permanent. In fact, I'm going to be able to spend more time with you in eternity in heaven. Yeah. No, that's a beautiful thing. Yep. We're talking about a great song by Led Zeppelin, In My Time of Dying. And if you have lost someone that you love and would love to share that experience with what it was like when that person was dying, what it's like for you now, now that person is gone, would love to hear from you today. 833-288 EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Charlene is a first-time caller calling from South Carolina, listening on Catholic radio in South Carolina. Charlene, welcome to Beacon of Truth.
Hi there. It's so interesting that you're talking about this because I've been thinking about the death of my mother for the last several hours, and then I flipped on the radio, and there you are wanting to know. So I will just tell you, my mom was terminally ill, even when I was born, and she died when I was a little ways short, like 2 weeks short of my 5th birthday. And the summer before she died, and she was devout Christian, very devout, and she didn't pull no punches. My mom was a smart lady, and she knew I was a real smart kid. And the summer before she died, she commanded me to sit down by a tree while she told me that people don't all live the same length of time, and when God calls you home, that's when you die. Mm-hmm. And before your next birthday, I will already be gone. And I knew what dead was, even though I was 4 years old. My dog had died, a cat had died, I saw chickens slaughtered, I knew what dead was. I'd been to one funeral. It was pretty bad for me, but what can you do? So, some months later, when my next birthday was probably coming up, though at 4 years old, I really didn't have much of a sense of time passage the way grown-ups do. But I was staying with some relatives, and I waked up that morning, crawled out of the bed, and I had this horrible feeling. I didn't know how to say it, but the way I said it to myself, I never said it to anybody before. I really didn't. It was what I called the ring feeling. It was like all that was left of me was some hollow ring, like a bicycle tire or something. And then I recounted my mother's telling me months before that she was dying, and I knew that meant my mom had died. And I started screaming because my mother was dead. And then I heard my uncle in another room calling to his wife and saying, "They're here. Is she ready to go?" And the next thing I knew, my mother's identical twin and her two sisters were in the house with me, and I knew my Aunt Mary's voice. She was identical to my mother. She came at me, and I went running back in the room where I had been sleeping, and I got down on my little knees on that floor and buried my face in the white chenille bedspread and started screaming because I did not want to look at my mother's face. And I knew what she was saying. And she somehow got me away from that bedspread and turned me around, and I had to look at my mother's face telling me that your mother is dead.
Wow. Wow, Sean, what a powerful, and it's that you're still able to remember this when you're 4 years old is just it just shows how impactful this was in your life. And Charlene, we are so incredibly grateful to you for calling and sharing that beautiful sad, but obviously we see how this has shaped you now, and it still sounds like it's fresh in your mind and in your heart. And so we will remember your mother in our prayers, and you as well. And thank you so much for the call, Charlene. I'm Deacon Harold Burke Sivers, listening to the Beacon of Truth playlist. Today we're talking about In My Time of Dying. Great song by Led Zeppelin. And we're talking about, your encounter with death, because this song is about, the last hours. Maybe you want to share your encounter of a loved one who died, maybe, and how you're feeling about it now. Maybe you were there when they died. What was that like for you? Give us a call, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. All right, so far we just got the first line, right, Ace? The second line says, all I want for you to do is take my body home. Right? So it's like, what is it? Asking the Lord, take us home, Lord. Because again, we're on pilgrimage while we're here on earth. This is not our home. Our home ultimately is with God in heaven.
Yeah. Well, and when you tie it with the next line where he says, so I can die easy. I mean, I don't know how, I can't count the number of times when people have told me about someone who's passed. We're like, well, they passed in their sleep, so they weren't in any pain. Like it gives us peace to know, okay, they weren't hurting when they left, and we know they're not hurting on the other side. So there's a little bit of in our mourning that we can have some semblance of closure to know that the suffering has stopped, especially if they were sick for a long time, or even if it was something that came quickly and then within a couple of weeks they passed. To know that they had that kind of peaceful transition is huge.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I totally agree with him. He says, "So I can die easy." I would think, "So I can die in peace." Yeah. Now, not just peacefully in the sense that without pain. I mean, I want to be. So when I hear "die easy," to me, I want to be in a state of grace.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that my last words are about praying to Mary or Jesus, Jesus or the intercession of Mary. I want to be mindful, and aware. So that I can really enter into that transition to the next life, I'm not saying, for me personally, if there's some pain involved, that's okay, because Jesus was in agony and pain when he gave his life for us. Yeah. But I just be at peace knowing that my wife's okay, she's going to be taken care of because of, she'll be okay, that I'm in a state of grace, and that that kind of thing is, I think, for me, is the peaceful part.
Yeah, and I think I saw a writing or meme or something this week that was talking about, for us fathers, husbands, like, it's not that our kids would ever go without, or that our husband or that our wives wouldn't be able to go on without us, but it's the fact that they have to. Like, that's the part of being a man that, and that resonates as I was listening to this song again this week, is just in that of, not wanting to leave anything behind. Like, you want to always say all the things that you want to say. You want to leave all the life lessons so you don't feel like there's anything, but then they know where where they stand with God based on your influence in their life. That they're not, it's not I don't want Dad to know what's happened to me. It's I got to call Dad. He knows what to do. And I think when I hear these words, it kind of is that, like, I want to die easy. I want to, just take my body so that I can just be done and be with you, Lord. And I think in the same way that he embraces us, we embrace our families in the same vein. That's right. I love that. We're on the Beacon of Truth playlist episode today, In My Time of Dying by Led Zeppelin. Would love to hear from you today, 833-288. EWTN, that's 833-288-3986. Greg is calling from Albany, New York. Listen on Sirius XM 130. Greg, welcome to Beacon of Truth.
Well, thank you, Deacon. I appreciate it. Thank you, for a great show. I listen, a few times a week, and you do have a great show, and I love how you mix in, your music likings and bring a nice little punch up to the show. Two quick things. So my godfather passed away last week, okay? And I'm 51, so he was very influential. Quick backstory, my godparents are my parents' best friends. This is my father's friend of 60 years, okay? And so much so, I used to call him uncle and aunt, right? And cousins. And I'm from a large family. I'm one of 8, and they had 7 kids. So a couple weeks ago, I travel for work, as you do. And so I got a call that, to go see him in the hospital. And he had cancer, which was very strange in the way of he had a tumor on his esophagus last fall, which disappeared through prayer and treatment. Well, when his lungs were filling up with fluid, they said, okay, well, spread. And he had said, and this all happened within the past week and a half here. So he had said something that you just noted with the Led Zeppelin line of, like, take my body home. When he couldn't receive treatment, he said, I am going to die at home, and I want to bring in hospice. So they did. And 2.5 days later, got a call and said, look, if you want to see Uncle Bill, come on over. So I took my father, which is best friend of 60 years, and we went up. And, there's always, we're used to a lot of people, and they had made my uncle very comfortable. And then, one of our priest friends had come in and done last rites. And I'm sure that many people listening to your great show have been involved in this. And it's a very, very powerful moment, many moments, I should say. And what happened to me as knowing that it's most likely going to be the last time that I see him and able to speak to him very little, as sad as it was, there was so much peace in my heart and mind. And I could sense that in the room. And here's why I say that. Because he, and this doesn't happen a lot of times in life, right? We don't have the opportunity or privilege to say, look, I want to choose where I die. And that left me with a lot of peace in my heart. And it did spread throughout the room. And it did spread as we, within the wake and the funeral. And there were a lot of people. You're talking a 90-minute wait in line at the wake. And I just kept mentioning that to people that I'm holding on to that piece of my heart because he was able to decide and work with God, this is the way I see it, and work with God to say, I just want to be home before I come home to you ultimately. So I say that as it was sad, but I want to also offer your audience, if they are going through tough times or have been through recently, that there is light at the end of the tunnel and very much a profound peace can be found within your heart. And I think that's what you should hold close and celebrate that. And I think it's, to juxtapose and along with the Led Zeppelin song, Take My Body Home is one of the lyrics. It just reminds me of our Stairway to Heaven. And I think that if, as Catholics, that if we stay true to ourselves and authentic, God is waiting for us and will greet us with open arms.
Wow, beautiful. What? Not only was that a beautiful story, but incredible words of wisdom. That was awesome. It reminds me of the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And your words, Greg, your words of wisdom and your beautiful insights, I think, will give people comfort for those who are mourning, who are listening to the show today. Thank you so much, Greg, for your beautiful contribution to the show. We're talking about In My Time of Dying, great song by Led Zeppelin today. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Leslie's calling from New Orleans, Louisiana, where I'll be there in just a few weeks, listening on Catholic Community Media. Leslie, welcome to Beacon of Truth.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Great to hear from you.
Thank you. I just wanted to share about my mom. She passed away. It'll be 2 years in May. She lived with me the last 2 years of her life because she had frontal temporal dementia. And so she stayed with me. And in the last 6 months, we had hospice in, and she began to lose her ability to walk and move her body and talk and everything. And she was basically bedbound. But we played music for her all day long. She developed a following of Andre Bocelli, and we just would play. But it's not something that we did growing up. And my mom had a very complicated relationship with Jesus and everything. But the dementia seemed to strip down all those barriers, and her caregivers would pray with her, and she would talk about Jesus a lot. In the last 2 weeks of her life, though, she had sort of where she became very lucid, and so my uncle, her brother, came to visit her, and she talked with him, and then my brother, who lives in California, came out the week before she died, and she was very lucid with him, and that was a Sunday night. But then on Monday, she basically stopped talking, stopped moving, just basically slept in bed. And so I told hospice I thought it was near the end, and they're like, well, maybe, but so I would stay home from work with her. And then Thursday night, she hadn't spoken in 3 days, hadn't moved really in 3 days. And my husband and I would always go in at night at around 8 o'clock, and we would change her Depends and get her cleaned up and say prayers with her and things like that before we sort of like closed the door and let her go to bed. And then that Thursday night, we went in and did all this. And then I don't know why I actually had never done this with her. But I was holding hands with her, and we said our prayers, and I started singing "Jesus Loves Me," and again, her eyes were closed. She hadn't talked in 3 days. Just started singing "Jesus Loves Me" with her, and she started singing with me, and we sang 2 full verses together. And at the end of it, I leaned over and gave her a kiss. I was just like, wow. Leaned over, gave her a kiss, and I said, Mama, good night, I love you. Is there anything that you need? And her eyes opened up, and she looked straight at me, and she went, more of this. And then she closed her eyes, and about 4 a.m., I could hear her across the hall, the breathing getting labored. And I went over, and she had just passed. And I sat and just held her hand for about 2 hours, because I held her hand every morning when she would wake up. And so we just sat together and till she got cold a little bit, and then they came in and took care of her.
Wow, what a beautiful way to end the show today. Thank you so much for that beautiful sharing. All right, my friends, until we are together again, may Almighty God bless you, keep you, and protect you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Hi, this is Father Mike Schmitz. I invite you to listen to Bible in a Year and Catechism in a Year here on EWTN Radio. On Bible in a Year, we're reading all the way from Genesis through Revelation, plus time for explanations and reflections to help us go